Chucky Hepburn game winner.
You are Locked On Louisville, your daily podcast on the Louisville Cardinals. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Card Nation, what's going on, everyone? And welcome into this Friday edition of the Locked On the Louisville podcast. I'm your host, Dalton Pence. This is my fifth year covering the University of Louisville, third year hosting this show. I want to take the time to personally thank you all for making us your first listen of the day. Just a reminder, the show is free and available on all streaming services 5 days a week. Your team every day. This post-game recap edition is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. All you have to do, visit FanDuel.com to get started. What a shot. Chucky Hepburn with the game winner as time expired to beat Stanford in the ACC quarterfinals and clinch the Louisville Cardinals' first ever appearance in the ACC Tournament Semifinals on Friday evening. We're going to discuss this roller coaster game, how it looked bleak for a while, and then Louisville was able to clutch up, avoiding disaster. Sets the stage for a critical semifinal matchup against Clemson, who barely beat SMU on Thursday evening. What's at stake in that game? What we learned from the first matchup, Reyne Smith, potential injury impact, and much more to discuss on the show. It has been a wild past couple of hours. If it looks like I'm exhausted, well, it's really because I am. I'm recording this late at night after the Clemson SMU game to preview this matchup. I know that we're up against the clock, that we can't really publish this too late because the game is later tonight on Friday at 9:30 Eastern time. Just a roller coaster of events. There is a clip out there going viral. I was on the live reaction stream from Floyd Street Media and the state of Louisville with my good friends Jacob Lane and Presley Meyer, and just a wide range of emotions. And then when Chucky Hepburn got the ball tipped out to him, shot the mid-range for the win, we absolutely went nuts. And I think that is the case for the rest of the fan base. Now, this was a completely up and down performance, and shout out to the Cardinals for clutching up when they needed to. And it was tough because, well, we'll discuss that here in a second. You got, I would say, a pretty bad look from Terrence Edwards. It seemed like he was trying to draw that foul. Double clutched on the three. It barely hit the rim. It might have bounced off. I think it bounced off the back iron, and the ball went to the Stanford player. James Scott knocked the ball through his hands to a wide open Chucky Hepburn, who was already stationary with his feet set. All he had to do was catch the ball and make a wide open mid-range shot, in which he did, sending the Louisville Cardinals into their first ever ACC Tournament Semifinal appearance. And this is the first time in a couple of years that March basketball has meant something for this program and for this fan base. So seeing the team have those normal ACC tournament struggles, because remember, ever since we joined the ACC back in 2014, the Cardinals don't do well in the conference tournament. They just, even if they win a game, they don't win multiple. They have never made the tournament semifinals until this year. So it was nice to see Louisville be able to make up for a slow start. The Cardinals offense was just really lethargic in the first half. A ton of unforced turnovers. Stanford making some key shots, but it was a 3-point game at half. It was the first time this season in which Louisville had trailed at the half to an ACC opponent. And I think I was kind of sitting there on the live stream like, yeah, I'm kind of nervous here. I had faith in the team, but it's the first time that Louisville has trailed since December at half. And the start of the second half was disastrous for the Cardinals. Stanford went on a huge run to start the final 20 minutes. They opened up a 15-point lead just outside of the first media timeout. So, I mean, a 15-point lead, Louisville has no momentum at the moment, and everyone's like, well, I mean, the Cardinals really can't afford to lose this game. And Pat Kelsey called a timeout with 14 minutes and 32 seconds to go in the second half. And it later came out via Chucky Hepburn that the coaching staff didn't say anything in that media timeout. It was Edwards, it was Hadley, and it was Chucky Hepburn just reiterating to the rest of the teams like, guys, we can win this game. And they immediately opened up the next 4-minute stretch with some key buckets. Terrence Edwards, even though he missed the and one opportunities in terms of the free throws, he had some key buckets. They got Maxime Reynaud in foul trouble. That proved to be really costly for the Cardinal in this game. I mean, he still ended with 17 points, but only 5 rebounds in this game. He played 23 minutes after playing 38 minutes last night. He fouled out with about 4, maybe 3 minutes left in the game against the Cardinals. And going down by 15, we mentioned on the stream that, you just have to start chipping away at the lead now. You have to believe that you can do it, but you have to start playing better defense, and they did. And they ultimately ended up tying the game, went back and forth for the most of the final 8 minutes. And then you get to that final stretch where the Cardinals go up by 8 points. And everyone's thinking, okay, well, this is it. This is the end of the game. This is where Louisville does what Louisville does best, and that is clutch up at the end of performances. And they led by 8 with about 1:30 to go. Then Ryan Argawal made an off-balance fadeaway 3. Terrence Edwards fouled Isaiah Sellers, who made both free throws. Chucky Hepburn threw a pass to Noah Waterman, which got intercepted, taken back. Chisholm Akpara got the and one, made that 73-73, and then Chucky Hepburn ended up sending Louisville into this semifinal game. It wasn't a pretty performance whatsoever here for the Cardinals, and you wonder, why was this effort just not the greatest? I think not having Reyne Smith allowed Stanford to do what they did last game, and that was double up in the post. Make sure you clog the lane so you limit the ability to penetrate the defense and force to shoot the basketball. And once again, here's the thing about it is the Cardinals shot 35% from 3, but it was 8 of 23. They shot 51% from the field, and they missed 7 free throws in this game. 7 free throws. Stanford shot 46%, 42% from 3, and 83% from the free throw line. One of the best, actually the best free throw shooting team in the conference. So not having Reyne Smith and the gravity of him on the court allowed Stanford to just do what they did against the Cardinals last Saturday, and they had a better offensive performance. So you kind of made things tough for the Cardinals. I thought it was interesting. Ty Spalding sent this tweet out saying that ESPN just showed the locker room after the game, and Pat Kelsey says, a bunch of guys in this circle are sick. Noah, you're sick. And it did seem like the Cardinals were decently lethargic, but you can't really make many excuses for the unforced turnovers. You just missed open shots. And defense, it seemed like Louisville was over-helping and leaving open three-point shooters, and Stanford was just knocking down their open shots, and that's what it comes down to. And, postseason play is all about, streaks and a game of runs, and that's kind of what basketball is, but definitely in the postseason. I thought that Louisville weathered the storm. They went down by 15, and they fought back. Now, that is great to see. You love to see that. And it's something that we haven't been able to see much because, well, I guess if there is a downside to winning so many games by double digits in conference play is that you don't get much opportunity to showcase how clutch you can be. Now, there have been games this year where the Cardinals have stepped up at Virginia Tech, at Pittsburgh, EKU, West Virginia, and other games. But for the most part in conference play, it's either been a win by 8 to 10 or 10-20, or you see what I'm saying? The lone loss to Georgia Tech, you had a couple single-digit wins in ACC play, but it was nice to see Louisville get hit in the mouth and respond in the most effective way. Now, when we come back on the next segment, we got to talk about how, yes, the comeback was great, but the Cardinals never should have been in that situation to begin with. 100% not. But credit to the team. I thought James Scott was great down the stretch. He had some key rebounds that gave Louisville multiple second chance opportunities. He had some great defensive stretches against Maxime Reynaud in the second half. He had some nice putback dunks that gave Louisville some points down the stretch. Thought he was great. There were some lapses where, the AM1 play where he didn't play the greatest defense, but I thought Noah Waterman was extremely critical rebounding. He had the 2 made 3-pointers early in the game, and then he had some other points in this one. And that's something that, remember, going into postseason play, if we could just get some marginal improvement from the bench players. Now, Noah was a starter because Reyne was out. Then it could make the world of it could make a huge difference. It can make the world of difference. I think it was a matter of seeing those first couple of shots go in, and I'm glad that they did. Nice to see him play well. Javon Hadley didn't play the greatest, had 4 points, had 6 rebounds, 3 assists, was kind of he played 38 minutes, good defense in the second half, but just not a great game for him. I think that Reyne Smith sort of unlocks his ability to play isolation ball down in the post. And I don't think Stanford's the greatest matchup for Javon either. But nonetheless, survive and advance. That's what the postseason is all about. You got the win, even though the performance was really lackluster. Now, the comeback was great. But the reason for the comeback is something that we have to talk about, and sort of a concern moving forward for this team at the moment. We'll discuss when we come back on this post-game edition of the Locked On Louisville podcast. We're all about the stats because numbers don't lie. And when it comes to the all-new Nissan Armada Pro 4X, the numbers are on an MVP level. With the ability to tow up to 8,500 pounds, it can quite literally carry the whole team plus the gear wherever you need to go. It's powered by a twin-turbo V6 engine, delivering the strength and performance to handle highways, back roads, and everything in between. With room for up to 8 people, the Armada Pro 4X is built for big cruise, adventures, and even larger memories. Whether you're exploring off-road trails or rolling up to the arena, the Armada Pro 4X brings power, versatility, and style wherever you go. Take your adventures to new heights in the all-new Nissan Armada Pro 4X. Learn more at nissanusa.com. Also, while I have you, I want to take the time to tell you about our friends and the title sponsor of the show, FanDuel. As we witnessed, March Madness is truly here. FanDuel is giving you the chance to get in on the action like never before. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's $200 extra to use on everything from buzzer beaters to Cinderella stories and even who's cutting down the nets. I've got my eye on a few underdogs this year, and FanDuel makes it easy to back them with spreads, totals, and game props. Visit FanDuel.com and get in on the college hoops action all tournament long. Chucky Hepburn's game winner buzzer beater in the postseason was the first time that Louisville has had one since 1983. Really good season for the Cardinals that year. I think it was Scooter McRae that had that bucket, if I'm not mistaken. If I'm wrong, forgive me. But that bucket helped Louisville completely avoid disaster. The comeback was great. It was awesome to see the team deal with adversity the way that they did twice. They came back down 15, end up tying the game. Then they went up 8 with under 2 minutes to go, gave up that lead, tie game and ended up coming out on top at the end. So there's something to be said for a team that plays its best basketball when the lights are the brightest and when adversity strikes the hardest. However, there's also something to be said about why Louisville was in that spot in the first place. And it has been due to the culmination of a couple of issues over the past, I'll say, probably month or so for the Cardinals. First off, not having Reyne Smith in this game truly hurts. Not having Reyne Smith in general, when he is your number one three-point shooter, he's one of the best three-point shooters in the conference and the country. When you don't have him on the court, it changes your offense because it takes away some of that space that Hepburn, Edwards, and Hadley have to work with. When you have Reyne on the court, defenses can't afford to lay off of shooters because Reyne has one of the quickest releases in the country. Doesn't need a ton of room, doesn't need a ton of time, and he can make some really crazy shots. He's shown that all season long. Not having him was huge. If what Pat Kelsey said was indeed true, that Louisville was dealing with sickness, that could also affect the stamina with a shorter rotation. That Louisville basically went 6 deep in this game against Stanford. You were expected to win this game by double digits. The spread was 10.5. Now, we had answered the question as to whether or not this was an advantage to Louisville or Stanford, that the two teams literally played last weekend. It seemed like the advantage was to Stanford. Cardinals had open shots, just weren't making them. Too many unforced turnovers early in the game. Those two things have been issues that have recurred over the past couple of weeks. I do think that the Cardinals did a great job of rebounding. They out-rebounded Stanford by 4. They only allowed 7 offensive rebounds, which might seem like a lot, but comparing that to the numbers that they had been allowing over the past couple of games, maybe not so much. But this was a team that you allowed to sort of dictate the flow of the game for the majority of it. Stanford was the enforcer. Louisville was playing timid. They were playing tense. Seemed like they were rattled at times until it mattered. In the second half, Louisville was able to make those runs. So everything I'm saying now was counteracted by the Cardinals' ability to make things happen at the end of the game. But I sit here and I'm thinking to myself, what should have never been like that in the first place? Even if the first half would have gone the way it had and you're down by 3, getting outscored by 12 in the first media timeout of the second half just cannot happen. Louisville has to be better defensively on the ball. They gave up way too many open shots. Like I said, they overhelped on some situations, and that opened up open shooters, and everything seemed like it wasn't going the Cardinals' way. Now, Stanford was making some incredibly difficult shots. Chisholm Akpara made a fadeaway post hook that bounced in or banked in, and I'm like, okay, it is what it is. They were making some tough mid-range shots. Maxime Reynaud was hitting some rainbow three-pointers. Some of these shots, you just have to tip your hat and say, good shot, and move on to the next sequence. But when Louisville made those adjustments, they were able to be super effective. The issue is that from here on out, you probably won't play a team worse than Stanford. So struggling at times, and I know that you're winning by double digits from some of these games, but there are portions in the game where Louisville looks so different. It's like a Jekyll and Hyde situation offensively and defensively for that matter. And the Cardinals have to do a better job of being consistent throughout. So if they can clean up some of those mistakes as you go into the Friday night game, because simply put, you can't play that way against Clemson. I know that Clemson didn't play the greatest against SMU, and I know that the Tigers aren't the best in ACC tournament play historically, sort of like Louisville, but there's much more firepower on the squad that you're playing tonight versus the squad that you just played. And I'm hoping that you have Reyne Smith back, but we will preview the rematch between Louisville and Clemson and talk about why this is a critical opportunity for Pat Kelsey's team. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Me every day. Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes into play, your personal CFO giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app, it's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending all in one place. So you just stop managing your money and start building your wealth. Instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch to check your finances, track spending, and even plan long-term goals. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use the code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, LOCKEDONCollege, for half off of your first year. Cardinal fans, thanks for tuning in to this late night edition of the Locked On Louisville podcast. Whether you're listening to this late on Thursday night, early on Friday morning, or throughout the day on Friday, I want to take the time to thank you all for making us your first listen of the day. I will say that if Louisville beats Clemson tonight, there will be an episode on Saturday morning previewing the championship game matchup. If not, there will be an episode on Sunday evening following the bracket release. So just a heads up on the scheduling. But Louisville will go into the ACC Tournament Semifinals for the first time since they joined the conference a decade ago and square off with the team they tied for second, the Clemson Tigers, who escaped the quarterfinal round with a win over SMU 57-54. Both teams 18-2 in conference play, cruise through the duration of ACC play. Louisville held that head-to-head victory that they recorded on January 7th. It was 74-64 at the KFC Yum Center. Javon Hadley exploded for a career high 32 points. He had 10 rebounds as well. James Scott had a double-double. Chucky Hepburn was 1 of 10 from the field. Terrence Edwards was 2 of 11. Reyne Smith was 1 of 7 from the field. So you can talk about, well, Javon Hadley probably won't score 32 points again. And okay, that's pretty fair. But do you think that Chucky Hepburn and Terrence Edwards are going to go a combined 3 of 21? And if Reyne plays, does he go 1 of 7? I don't think so. I think that Louisville's going to get more production across the board. They shot under 30% from the three-point line, 45.5% from the field, and made 16 of 20 free throws in that game. This is a key matchup for a couple reasons. Number one, I think it's sort of a validation that if you beat Clemson this time around, then I don't think that there's really any debate as to who the true second best team in the conference is, because you beat them in the regular season, but also there's this narrative that, well, Clemson's gotten better. They beat Duke and they're blowing teams out. Lord forbid we talk about Louisville doing the same thing outside of playing Duke. But if you beat Clemson in the second matchup, then you sort of just justify the take that Louisville is the second best team in the conference. More importantly, what you do is you give yourself another quad one victory. If you win this game, put it this way, I think that with the win over Stanford, you've secured at least a 7 seed. That's my personal opinion. I ultimately think you're a 6 at the moment. If you beat Clemson, you give yourself another quad one victory. You do it on the largest stage, under the brightest lights, with the tournament committee watching front and center. I think you have a chance to get up to a 5 with a win over Clemson. Because at that point, you've won 11 straight games. You're 27-6. You're going to be probably going to the championship game to play Duke, who had some injuries for Cooper Flagg and Malik Brown, and we hope that they're okay, and it's a full and speedy recovery for both of those players. You never like to see injuries and hope that they are going to be back as soon as they possibly can. But a win over Clemson would give you a quad one victory. And that's the key, a win over a team in the top 10, justifying to the rest of the country that, hey, look, we're still as good as we said we are. We just haven't played the competition to show it. When you look at what you could take away from the first matchup and apply it to the second, it's kind of tough. I think that the Cardinals, I won't say regressed over the month of February, but it's pretty clear that their best basketball was mid to late January. And if they can return back to that form, it would be huge. Two things here. Number one, I hope Noah Waterman's okay. It seemed like he turned or rolled his ankle after the Chucky Hepburn shot when he was celebrating and had to hobble off the court. Hopefully that's not going to be an issue because Louisville will need his size tonight. So hopefully he's okay. Hopefully we don't have to hear about an injury update because there's not one. We'll see. Fingers crossed. I'd really, really feel much better if Reyne Smith was playing as well. Clemson, a good defensive team. They make things challenging for opposing guards. And if you take away your best three-point shooter and you can't space the floor as well, it's going to be a challenge. So if Reyne Smith plays, I feel completely different about this game. I was optimistic that he would suit up and give it a go against Stanford. Ultimately, he did not. I don't know if he's going to be any more ready in 24 hours than he was on Thursday, or if Louisville's just kind of taking it cautiously and making sure that they have him for tournament play. And if they lose to Clemson on Friday night, it's not the end of the world. It's a quad one loss. You might drop a seed line. Like I said, I think 7's the lowest you're going to drop if you were to lose to Clemson. So you'd rather have Reyne next week for certain than in the ACC tournament. So, but if he can go, that would be huge because you give yourself another 3-point scoring option for an offense that can light it up. They didn't play well against SMU, but they still have the personnel. First team All-ACC player Chase Hunter is great. His brother Dylan, Jaden Zachary, the Boston College transfer. You've got the players down low, Victor Locken, Ian Shefflin. It's going to be a battle of who can be the enforcer. Well, the first matchup, it was Louisville. Can they be the enforcer in the second matchup? I think that both teams are as good as advertised, and I think it's going to be a really good game between two teams that didn't play their best ball in the first game in the quarterfinals, but they survived and they advanced to this game, and I really don't even know how to predict it unless I know the status of Reyne Smith. So I'm hoping and praying that he's going to be available in this game. Don't forget, if the Cardinals win, we will have an episode either late Friday night that will air right after I get done recording, or early Saturday morning that gives us enough time to preview the matchup against either Duke or North Carolina. If they lose, then we won't have an episode until Sunday evening when we preview and react to the bracket results. So just a heads up on that. But thank you all for being patient with me. Wanted to get this episode out quick enough to where we can still relive that victory and have some fun, but also have enough time to preview the matchup against Clemson. So that's going to wrap up this early Friday morning edition episode of the Locked On Louisville podcast. Everyone have a great day. It's game day. Go Cards. We'll see you right back here really soon.